It is a story that predates America.
But we're not white people and we're not black people.
We have a fancy $10 word for it, multiculturalism.
When you start trying to say that or explain it, 99% of America just does not buy it.
The American system had no room for them in the middle.
I am a Creole. I'm a proud Creole from Cane River.
The Creoles are representative of a movement that's starting to happen in America. And that movement is against the idea of race as a deciding feature of a population.
This film is funded in part by a grant from the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities, a state affiliate of the National Endowment for the Humanities. Funding is also provided by a grant from the Cane River National Heritage Area and Commission, and by a grant from the Louisiana State Arts Council through the Louisiana Division of the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts.
Our folk been here on this land for almost 300 years. That makes our culture native to this country. We were here before America was.
I am a child of a Frenchman and a slave. Moi un petit de Français et un esclave. I am too part Indian, part Spaniard.
We are mixed nationality of people.
We were citizens of France. My ancestors and my people never let go of that.
Native to a land called Louisiana, I have been nourished for generations by the waters of Cane River and the rich Red River Valley of North Louisiana.
It's a culture, and it's a heritage.
Yet the new Americans never accepted or recognized me. Mon histoire, moi, ça t'est jamais écrit. My history was never written.
In essence, they were erased, or perhaps more appropriately, we would say they became invisible.
We were known at one time as the forgotten people. And it has been my quest to never be known as a forgotten person again.
Tout oublié, forgotten. Yet I have endured.
This culture is too rich for other folk not to know about it. You see, it's just too important, too significant.
For those who have come before, and for the children who follow, mon va toujours durer. I will forever endure.
I want to celebrate it and share it with other people because it is something very special to the world.
Moi, l'esprit, I am a spirit. Moi, une culture, I am a culture. Moi, Creole, I am Creole.
Well, the colors are a little different, like the Creole people. Some of them are lighter, some of them are darker.
The best place to begin learning about my Creole people is Miss Lair Lacour's Creole Maman dolls.
The Creole people are different. Let's start with that.
Mama Lair, as she's known on Cane River, has been making her Maman dolls since she was a child. Dolls born of the Creole spirit and struggle.
Some of our Creole people look like white people. Some of them are darker. But we are Creole people. And I wanted my doll to be a Creole doll. I don't want to be a white person, and I don't want to be a black person. I want to be who I am. I'm Lair Lacour. I'm a Creole woman.
Alors, qui sont les Créoles de la Louisiane? So, who are Louisiana's Creoles? The word Creole has had many different meanings over the last 300 years. Most definitions center on New World goods that came from Old World stock. Today, Creole refers to people of non-Anglo ancestry who were born in Louisiana during the French and Spanish colonial periods and their descendants. Historically, everyone born in colonial Louisiana was considered Creole. Some were of French or Spanish descent, while others, my Creole people of Cane River, were of a mixed heritage.
It's the French, Spanish, African, Native American cultures that define who I am as a Creole.
To us, for almost 400 years, Creole has been very simple because that is who we are. And Creole is nothing but an ethnicity and a culture.
In Creole communities, almost everyone, a contemporary community, is centered around a church. Catholicism is crucial to Creole identity.
St. Augustine on Cane River, established in 1803.
This church is the oldest Catholic church in America that was built by non-whites totally.
The Creole spirit is strong in Terrell Delphin, president of the St. Augustine Historical Society and a leading advocate of Creole heritage and culture.
We view these grounds as being holy and sacred grounds to us because not only is it the birthplace of our religion, but it's the birthplace of our culture. I can sit in this church and meditate and think about 200 years of history where all of my ascendants on Cane River sat in the same very church. This church plays a tremendous role and it gives us a lot of honor, prestige, and pride, simply because it's an achievement for our people.
It's the place where all of these Cane River Creoles get together, visit, talk, share stories, gossip. It's the community center. It's the cultural center. It's sort of the glue that has held these people together for so many years.
After Mass, all of Cane River went over to the hall to eat. And everybody brought food. And it was wonderful. And we danced. Now that was the part I went for. Oh, I love to dance. Better not do to eat. My dance come bitter. I dance like an animal.
You know, being on Cane River is totally different than being anywhere else.
People connect to each other, even though they've never met each other.
I can tell a Creole from a mile away, long distance.
It's very much a community, and the community makes you feel welcome, and they make you feel very much a part of the family.
It's like, oh, I know your grandmother, or I knew your uncle, or your mother and my mother went to school together.
A spirit of connectedness that can only be felt if you have been blessed to have the heritage that Creole people have.
This bond is so obvious. They may not know each other personally, but they know that they're connected. They're connected through these lineages, but they're also culturally connected.
For me, being a Creole is something, as far as my heart goes, it's a yearning to want to be free to say, I am Creole. Creole encompasses several cultures, and it's something that I'm proud of. I don't want to keep it a secret.
You have a very, very self-aware community, and one that has taken ownership of what it means to be Creole.
How do you determine that something is Creole? It's very hard to put a definition. You know, a lot of people want to say, if your skin is black, then you are African American. If your skin is white, then you are Caucasian. You're in between, so you're Creole. That's not always true. It has a lot to do with family. It does have a lot to do with Catholicism, with genealogy, with the way you were raised, with your beliefs. That's what makes me Creole.
Since colonial Louisiana, Creole culture and heritage has developed and flourished in communities well beyond Cane River.
We have our people everywhere.
There are 60 communities in this state that I can draw a circle around each one of them. And those are the people that we talking about. Creoles of color.
The ties between Creole communities in Louisiana are strong. Terrell Delphin's wife Lily is from Filo Cove in South Louisiana. Lily's father was from another South Louisiana colony called Grand Marais. Her mother and father met at a Creole baseball game.
Baseball was a big social event for Creoles. It was a time for dressing up and time for meeting new people also.
Lily met Terrell at his father's funeral.
Actually, he came to see me the next night.
As for their daughter Daphne,
that makes her a member of 3 Creole communities.
In the last century, the Creole spirit has soared to new places. Today, there are thriving Louisiana Creole communities across America in major cities like Chicago and Los Angeles. Ours is the story of this country's first multicultural people. Creole culture is one of the richest and oldest native cultures in America, second only to American Indian. So why is it so few people know or acknowledge us?
When you get out there in this wide world and you start trying to tell people that, hey, I am in between the black and white race. I'm not black, I'm not white, I'm in between. I'm a Creole. I'm a multiracial person. When you start trying to say that or explain it, 99% of America just does not buy it.
Cane River Creole and author John Sharpie.
This multiracial thing, to me, is at the heart of my concept of being Creole, all right? It was at the heart of the concept of my grandparents and great-grandparents and great-parents before them of being Creole. Multiracial seems to not exist. People's eyes are closed to it when it comes to looking at a person of part African and white ancestry. It's a non-existent phenomenon as far as the masses of America is concerned. This race thing, this black-white thing, is an artificial, man-made concept designed for the purpose of divvying up privileges and selling out disadvantages. It's a man-made divider. But when in fact we are all human beings. We have been there all the time, just haven't been paid attention to.
So we are not talking about Creolism from a racial perspective. We are talking about Creolism from a cultural perspective, because we don't think it's necessary to debate the race issue.
To some, it's about race. To others, culture. To most of my Cane River people, being Creole is about both.
All we want to do is be able to identify ourselves as Creole.
Like it was in the beginning. To cast an eye across 18th century colonial America is to see 2 distinctly different experiences. English colonies of the East reflected the Anglo traditions of what was to become the United States of America. Louisiana, west of the Mississippi River, and its associated territory belonged to France, and the French colony was up and coming. The early outpost of Natchitoches was founded in 1714.
It was very rude, very crude. To say Natchitoches was founded in 1714 is kind of a false concept, because it was really just a few men in a couple of huts. But from that point on, this became a very important trade area.
For one, the area around Natchitoches was dominated by the Caddo Indians. Just to the west, Spanish Texas. The first French to arrive were all men, mainly soldiers, as well as traders and laborers.
There were no French women that came to the colony early on, and so immediately Indian slavery developed to fill that need.
All over Louisiana, French soldiers began to marry Indian women. French traders began to marry Indian women. It was a pretty easy way to gain alliance with a tribe if you married in and had a family and you were kin.
This concerned the French commandant, Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne de Bienville,
because he was afraid that the soldiers who, would run off and live with the Indians rather than to come back and be French soldiers.
There were very few African people in Louisiana before 1718, the time the first African slaves arrived in New Orleans.
There were Native American women, there were African women who were here in slavery, and because it's human nature for these people to mix, mixing occurred.
I'm a 10th generation descendant of Claude Thomas Pierre Metoya and Marie Therese Cohen.
One such couple was the French merchant Claude Thomas Pierre Metoya and an African slave named Marie Therese Cohen.
In 1768, Marie Therese, the slave lady, and the Frenchman had a set of twins, their first children. Throughout their relationship, they had 10 children, but the first children was a set of twins. And the boy they named the boy Augustin Metoya, and the twin daughter Suzanne. And I'm a direct descendant of the Suzanne line of Metoyas. Well, with the relationship between Claude Thomas Pierre Metoya and the African slave, or the slave lady with African lineage, multicultural people were created. They created multicultural people. And in colonial Louisiana, you had a three-tier society. You had whites and blacks and mixed breeds who became to be known as Creoles.
And that is how I came to be, how my people of Cane River came to be.
Each Creole community has one or two families like that are kind of the beginnings of the community.
Through the life of the colony, these relationships became very close, very long-lived. The children born of these relationships were well taken care of.
They were given certain freedoms and responsibilities that enslaved people did not have, even though some of them at that time were still formally slaves.
It wasn't until later that they gained their freedom.
But nevertheless, they were treated as favored children, and this whole society, this whole Creole society develops as an offshoot of kind of this system.
Why do you suppose Claude Thomas and Marie Therese never married? They must have loved each other. They had 10 children together. The French Code Noir, which regulated conduct between Europeans and Africans at the time, forbid them from marrying. After living together and loving each other openly for nearly 20 years, Metoya and Marie Therese were urged by local authorities to end their relationship. in 1786.
After 18 years of common law in it, cohabitation with Claude Thomas Pierre, he decided that he would get a European woman as his wife to leave his wealth to. But in that process, he also helped his children with Marie Therese get these land grants and acquire all of this property.
Marie Therese reaped the benefits of this relationship. He gave her and the children land. He gave her freedom. He gave her children, their children together, their freedom. We don't, of course, know how his wife felt about this relationship or about the relationship of his children, but it was not an uncommon thing at that time to maintain two families.
They ended up acquiring a lot of property along the banks of Cane River. Their estates, in the 20 years that the relationship existed, they acquired over 18,000 acres of land along the banks of Cane River. And they were what we would call, if you position economics in their proper place in the American culture, you will find that Creoles of Cane River and other communities that started just like it under the same situations and circumstances were part of colonial aristocracy because they were landowners. They also acquired a large number of slaves themselves. And that has always been fascinating to me too, simply because I came to find that one of the reasons why they acquired all of this property and acquired all of these slaves was to buy and give them the best life they could under the circumstances, because the majority of the slaves that they bought were their cousins, and they bought them out of slavery. And if you put that particular relationship into the American history books, you will find that this was almost 100 years before Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad.
When Marie Therese Coin died, 9 of her children owned more than 1,200 acres of land each. When France ceded Louisiana to Spain in 1763, the colony remained French in the hearts and minds of the people, and was in fact administered on the local level by French citizens. Under Spanish rule, use of the word Creole begins to solidify.
But it was used to rank people, so it comes here as a marker of people born here in Louisiana, as opposed to in France or Spain. And so Creole populations get tagged with that label.
So Creoles we were, all of us, until strangers began to arrive.
Hello and welcome into the LPB studios. I'm Chuck Paradin, a longtime volunteer and member of LPB. You are watching The Spirit of a Culture, Cane River Creoles. And we have a very special guest who had something to do with all of this. You're going to meet him in a moment, but first, it's during this brief intermission that we invite you to help create a legacy with us. Your contribution today ensures that LPB can continue to present stories that would otherwise be left untold. From original productions such as this to Independent Lens and American Masters, it is support from you, our viewers, that makes this quality programming possible. Simply call or text GIVE. Do it to phone number 888-769-5000 or become a member online at lpb.org. Or you can scan the QR code that you see on your screen. Do that with your camera and your smartphone. And consider becoming a sustaining member, because with easy monthly donations, it makes it so much easier for you and for us. Now, if I'd like to tell you a little bit about the thank you gifts that we have for your pledge of supporting during this broadcast. And they're rather specific to this broadcast, as you can see on your screen. If you pledge $240, that's just $20 a month as a sustaining member, you are going to receive all of this. The Spirit of a Culture combo, which includes a Clementine Hunter playing cards rectangular ceramic platter. That's my favorite. You got the Forgotten People paperback book by Gary B. Mills, and the program DVD, all for just $20 a month as a sustaining member. Or if you want to pledge $180, that's just $15 a month. You're going to receive a Clementine Hunter playing cards rectangular ceramic platter, or a pledge of $10 a month. That adds up to $120. If you want to make it in one fell swoop, you're going to receive the Forgotten People paperback book by Gary B. Mills. Go $6 a month as a sustaining member, you're going to receive this program DVD. And wait, there's more, because this is really, really special. The first caller to pledge $500 or more on a credit card is going to receive an exclusive Clementine Hunter Gooster Hauling Flowers. This is a ceramic platter. It's no longer in production, and it's available only on a limited basis. So that's for a special $500 or more credit card pledge. And in addition to these wonderful gifts, of course, you receive Vision magazine, LPB's monthly programming guide, Louisiana Life magazine, and our popular member benefit, LPB Passport. Well, sitting beside me is a man who's been our passport to a lot of Louisiana history and a lot of Louisiana culture. This is Mr. Bill Rodman. He cut his teeth in TV way back, and he went on to win some nice awards, including the Emmys and Addy Awards, and it's always been his storytelling roots that have made everything so special, and he continues to produce award-winning nonfiction films and television projects. Thank you. Thank you for all of this. Really, really appreciate what you're adding to the milieu of Louisiana and Louisiana Public Broadcasting. But I have a question for you. Do you think, with the wonderful things you've done, could you have presented it anywhere else but Louisiana Public Broadcasting?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not, Chuck. LPB offers such a unique place for filmmakers such as myself to show our productions. And over the years, the last 20 plus years, I've just had my wife and I have had a wonderful relationship with Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and it's just been a treat for us to share all these special programs with the LPB audience.
You know, public broadcasting has so many national, wonderful, wonderful programs from here and from Britain and everywhere. But only LPB is producing Louisiana-centric programming that tells the Louisiana story. And you know, as talented as all those people are on the national level and the international level, we have some great talent here in Louisiana. Your pledge to LPB by going to the phone, 888-769-5000, you help to keep this coming for this generation and generations yet to come. And it's so important for you to become a member. And we all know that. I'll tell you someone else who knows that is Barbara DeQueer. She is a lifelong educator, and it's her family heritage that this documentary celebrates. So let's hear a special message right now from her.
I'm Barbara DeQueer, and my husband Winston Sr. and I share a proud Creole heritage. LPB has helped tell our story, the spirit of a culture, Cane River Creoles, but not just our story. LPB tells the story of your ancestors too. The stories that are so uniquely Louisiana about writers like Kate Chopin, the history of the Baton Rouge bus boycott, what life was like on an Atchafalaya houseboat, music icons like Fats Domino, the secrets of the Bayou Healers in Good for What Ails You, and of course, Louisiana veterans like my Uncle John, who served in the Navy during World War II. You can help tell the next great Louisiana story. Be a part of this great legacy by becoming a member of LPB today.
And wait, there's more. We have a special offer that matches your gift. Bill, tell us about that.
From the Natchitoches Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, they are proud to support the programming on LPB and is challenging all viewers to donate tonight, and they'll match dollar for dollar the first $1,500 called in during this program only. In effect, this will make your donation worth twice as much to LPB. Together we can keep LPB strong in Louisiana.
Oh, thank you, Convention and Visitors Bureau of Natchitoches, Louisiana. We need that money, so people, please, this is a great time for you to go to the phone and call 888-769-5000. And of course, once you make your contribution there, your pledge, we have some great thank you gifts for you. Let me tell you about them. For a pledge of $240 or $20 a month, you'll receive the Spirit of a Culture combo, which includes a Clementine Hunter playing cards rectangular a rectangular ceramic platter. That they are. They're playing cards right there. The Forgotten People paperback book by Gary P. Mills and the program DVD. Or for $15 a month, or $1,880, you'll receive the Clementine Hunter playing card ceramic platter right there. Love it. Or for $10 a month as a sustaining member, you will receive the Forgotten People paperback book by Gary B. Mills. Or for just $6 a month, come on folks, we can all do that, you're going to receive the program DVD of this great program that is produced by Mr. Bill Rodman. And he's here to tell us a little bit more about the special credit card offer we have to go along with it.
This is a $500 special credit card offer, Chuck. The first caller to pledge $500 or more on a credit card will receive an exclusive Clementine Hunter Gooster Hauling Flowers ceramic platter. It's important to note that this item is no longer in production and is available on a limited basis, so now's your chance to get it. In addition to these wonderful gifts, you'll receive Visions, LPB's monthly program guide, Louisiana Life magazine, and our popular member benefit LPB passport, which I can't live without.
Yeah, I'm getting nervous because that special edition platter that's no longer in production is right here, and I'm afraid with my wild hand motions I might knock it over. But Bill, you know, you did this program about Cane River, about the people, about the culture of the area. Was there anything that really surprised you when you were doing this?
Well, you know, it seems the theme of this evening is the amazing history and culture that we have in Louisiana.
That's no surprise.
And once again, the Creole people in Cane River are a special people where there's this continuity from, you know, centuries ago to this day that still exists, that still is in place, and that is remarkable.
You know, a lot of people don't realize Louisiana is maybe the most multicultural state going, the way our cultures have all mixed and melded, and it's really impressive. New Orleans, just a whole mixture unto itself, but I think we're such a multicultural state that has gotten along so well, and I think it's just something the rest of the nation could look to and learn from. You know, our mission here at LPB is to educate and entertain, and you know, past viewer support has made all of this possible. LPB is also known for some fantastic raffles, and here's one more.
The future of driving is here. LPB's Win the Wheels raffle accelerates into the 21st century with a Tesla Model 3.
Hi, I'm Trisha Johnson, and I'm the winner of the 2021 Win the Wheels raffle.
Enter for your chance to win this hot next-generation electric car. Every dollar raised goes to support public broadcasting and provide educational resources in your local community. Purchase a ticket for $50. Buy two and you'll get the third ticket free. You'll also receive LPB's most popular benefit, LPB Passport, giving you unlimited access to the best of PBS and LPB on demand. Go online to lpb.org/raffle or call 888-769-5000.
Can't win if you don't enter. I love my new Tesla. Thank you, friends of LPB.
You are helping sustain LPB for the future, which makes you a winner and possibly the owner of a brand new Tesla.
Now back to another winner, Bill's special on the spirit of our culture.
(1803), a year to be remembered in French Louisiana, especially on Cane River. It was the year Augustin Metoya, son of Claude Thomas Pierre Metoya and Marie-Thérèse Coincoint, founded St. Augustine and became the patriarch of a burgeoning Cane River Creole colony. Back in the hands of France, it was also to be the fourth and final time Louisiana would change hands.
Under French rule, we were treated as a unique race, a unique group of people. All of that ended abruptly with the Louisiana Purchase.
So in 1803, when the Americans took over, this was still a French-speaking part of the world, and and terribly Roman Catholic, thoroughly Roman Catholic.
The Americans were mostly from the Protestant East. They were English-speaking. They didn't understand any part of Latinized culture.
Jefferson's intent to buy Louisiana was not well received in Congress. It wasn't something they all leapt to in a hurry. And one of the things they all worried about was, what are we going to do with all these foreigners?
Foreigners on our own soil? My Cane River people and the Louisiana colony as a whole worried about the same thing. What will we do? What is this democracy they speak of? How are we supposed to behave?
And they didn't exactly cherish the idea that suddenly Napoleon had sold them without them knowing much about it. In fact, it kind of happened without anybody knowing much about it. And it had happened to them once before. They became Spanish subjects that way, and they weren't happy about that either.
The word Creole confused the Americans. They didn't understand the Louisiana colony, how my Cane River people were an accepted class of native-born colonial people.
That distinction's lost on them. They don't understand about how things like race and class were handled under Latin cultures.
Even slavery in Louisiana was unusual to the Americans. Oftentimes, slaves did not live in quarters. They lived out in villages by themselves.
It wasn't a benevolent institution, but on the other hand, it took a different form. It's almost like reading a contemporary newspaper account of Mardi Gras. Everybody goes to the party, but they don't quite understand why they're having that party. And then on Ash Wednesday, when you got these people walking around with ashes on their forehead, they don't know what the hell that's all about. And so it's the same kind of thing. Louisiana has, I guess, in the American eye, been a very confusing place for a very long time. And people always say, well, it's different. It is still different.
We were citizens of France. We were citizens of colonial France. And my ancestors and my people never let go of that.
So the whole Creole problem kind of grows out of that big misunderstanding about where Creoles fit.
Meantime, my Creole people kept to themselves on Cane River. The oldest son, Augustin, led the Metoyas de couleur to a section of Cane River called Ulmer. One by one, each brother followed, and tract by tract, grant by grant, and purchase by purchase, more and more lands came under their collective control. The Creole spirit flourished. Our white Creole neighbors called us the famille extraordinaire, one extraordinary family. They began to intermarry with other Creole families from other communities. As these Creole families grew and prospered, they became the threadwork of a way of life, the patchwork of a culture. They became a people, the Cane River Creole people. But we found ourselves encountering more and more Anglo-Americans and Anglo attitudes. Patras. It intensified around the time of the Civil War.
By that time, they were very well-educated, affluent people. Many of them sent their children back to France to school. They were tradesmen. They were planters. They were writers and artists. And very, very polished population of people. And not everybody was affluent, of course, but lots of them were. And they had a very powerful influence on the colony.
As they are being consumed in an American system, one basic change occurs in their everyday life that affects everyone. The Americans came in with the idea that people are either white or black.
So it was not very long after they took over the colony that they began to put it, translate it into their own system. It's the problem, I think, of to some extent marginalizing people that you want to control.
As the Americans became more and more prominent and Creoles were less prominent. They were outnumbered. Certainly waves of American immigrants came into the area and outnumbered Creoles early on. White Creoles began to appropriate the title for themselves. A large part of the Creoles owned slaves. They had an interest in this conflict.
But the Creoles, like everybody else in the South, wound up on the Confederate side of the war.
From the start, this American Civil War seemed very far away from Cane River.
You received word of distant battles. You weren't immediately affected by these realities until the war actually arrived in Natchitoches Parish in 1864 with the Red River Campaign.
Both the Confederate and the Union Army moved through the heart of Natchitoches Parish and Cane River during the campaign. They moved through once on their way north and again on their way back south.
The Union soldiers on their retreat back south took every chicken, every mule, every horse. Many people reported all buildings on their property destroyed, food taken. You might have thought very comfortably in early March that you had enough corn to feed your livestock through the summer. By the end of the Red River Campaign, you don't have livestock and you don't have corn.
It didn't matter who you were. The war was an equal opportunity destroyer.
Well, in Natchitoches Parish, they ran into the odd social reality of a black slave owner, a Creole of color who owned slaves. At the end of the campaign, what was real for the people of Natchitoches Parish was poverty.
By the close of the war, my Creole people had a lot in common with their white neighbors.
They're no longer slave owners. Their slaves have been freed by the Emancipation Proclamation. Economically, they're in a lot of trouble. There's no cash flow. There's no money. The most they have is their property. Going into the Civil War, Louisiana was a tri-caste society, meaning there were whites, there were free people of color, and there were black slaves. There are no longer three castes. Everyone's free.
The American system had no room for them in the middle.
Their system of understanding society and race said one drop of black blood makes you black. My Creole people had long said we are French, too.
Yes, we have color. They were there to admit they had color. They were mixed, but they were French. They were somewhere between the white and the black categories that Americans placed on them. Therefore, we have, by the end of the Civil War, lost that separate status for the Creoles, and they find themselves, as they look around at Reconstruction politics, they find themselves being categorized as blacks.
When you read, all you will see is white history and black history. There is nothing in between. There's black history, there's white history, but where there is any element of a mixture of white and black, then that mixture has to disappear into black. So all you see is black history.
In essence, they were erased, or perhaps more appropriately, we would say they became invisible.
Taking away their history over a long enough period of time would essentially take away their identity.
You see, captive mind management happens when a dominant culture declares another smaller or another culture as being invisible and non-existent. And all of their contributions is given to other folks as accomplishments of other people than the people that created them themselves. True Louisiana history, when it comes to buildings and structures and architects and carpenters and masonry, people and iron workers and tailors and educated, you will find all of those folk in colonial Louisiana coming out of the Creole culture. But you can't find that in American history books.
It was done on purpose with the idea of assimilating them into Anglo-American culture, which was the only way they were going to be American.
They were consumed or subsumed within the greater black society, and as far as outsiders go, there were no longer Creoles of color in Louisiana. And so as a Creole at that time, if you were a white Creole, you knew that your future rested with your ability to fit in the white category. For in America, whites had the power, whites had the rights, blacks did not.
For white Creoles and my Creole people of mixed heritage, the new American system turned their entire world on its ear, forcing a position no one could have imagined.
You have to decide as a Creole, where do you fit? And for the first time, many are realizing I have to fit, because if I don't fit one way or the other, I don't fit in this new American scheme of things. The ones with the lighter skin and then the pure white Creoles were the ones that understood our best shot is to clarify the fact that we are white and we're going to put ourselves in the white category. And it's at this point in time when you see the fervent struggle to appropriate the term Creole for whites only. And so when white Creoles began to call themselves Creole and insist that Creoles were white only, they were trying to hold on to two worlds at one time. They're trying to hold on to the traditional heritage that they were raised with, that Creole upbringing. But they want to fit into the white classification of American society.
By the late 1800s, my people saw slowly over time the right to call themselves Creole taken away.
They simply wanted to maintain that distinction as a different portion of the population, and they're not going to win. Ultimately, the Americanization process takes that away from them.
Actually, when I was growing up, I never heard the term Creole. My parents and grandparents and everybody referred to ourselves as French. We are the Frenchmen of Cane River. That's the way we were taught.
They couldn't use Creole anymore and be accepted by white Creoles, essentially. But by their calling themselves French, they distinguished themselves from the Americans around them and tied themselves back to the land of their heritage. Increasingly, they found themselves put directly into the black category, and people didn't pay attention anymore to the fact that they were saying, but we're French, we're not American.
This is where the struggle for my Creole people began.
Welcome back. I'm Chuck Perrodin, friend of LPB. You're watching The Spirit of a Culture, Cane River Creoles. Now, we're taking a short intermission to ask you to make a pledge of support so that we can continue to bring you stories that you won't see anywhere else. You know that. You've helped to build this station into one that shares meaningful documentaries about Louisiana and its people. We will reintroduce you to our special guest who had something to do with the show. We'll do that in just a moment. But right now, we're going to invite you to go to your phones and call or text 888-769-5000. If you're texting GIVE to 888-769-5000. Or you can go online at lpb.org or just simply scan that QR code that's on your screen. And to become a member, just to renew your membership or to make an additional gift of support, do it all by going to those simple means. Or you can give the gift of a membership to a family member or friend at this holiday giving season. Let me tell you again about the thank you gifts that are available during this special program. For a pledge of $240, that's just $20 a month as a sustaining member, you'll receive the Spirit of a Culture combo. This includes a Clementine Hunter rectangular ceramic platter. Isn't it beautiful? Playing Cards, it's called. The Forgotten People of Paperback. It's a book by Gary B. Mills, and the program DVD. All that for just $20 a month. Or if you want to pledge $180, that's $15 a month as a sustainer, you'll receive a Clementine Hunter Playing Cards rectangular ceramic platter. That's my favorite. I want that one. For $120 or more, $10 a month, that's all that adds up to. You'll receive the Forgotten People paperback book by Gary B. Mills. Or for $6 a month, you can receive the program DVD. But wait, there's something really, really special. It's the first caller to pledge $500 or more on a credit card. You're going to receive this very limited edition exclusive Clementine Hunter Gooster Hauling Flowers ceramic platter. It's no longer in production, and it's available only on a limited basis, and we're one of your limited opportunities right here. So make that pledge, $500 or more on a credit card. And in addition to these wonderful gifts, of course, you're going to receive Visions, LPB's monthly program guide, Louisiana Life magazine, and our popular member benefit, LPB Support. One of the great benefits of being a member of LPB is you help to support programming like the one produced by the fellow right next to me, Mr. Bill Rodman. Bill, you and your wife have done some wonderful storytelling about Louisiana. You've done more than just this program, and tell us some of the other things you've gotten into.
Well, you know, one of the interesting things is Chuck, is that this journey that we're on. You know, one story leads to another, you meet some people, and between Cane River Creoles and working on No Man's Land, you know, we already have some other programs kind of in the pipeline, if you will, coming up down the road. So it's all part of a continuum, and as far as I can tell, there is no shortage of them here in Louisiana and on LPB.
The stories go on and on and on. And you know, it's LPB that helps to tell these stories. I don't know any place else where you're going to get this kind of thing. You know, and Barbara DeQueer is a lifelong educator, and it's her family heritage that Bill is helping to celebrate in this documentary. So let's hear a special message from Barbara right now.
I'm Barbara DeQueer, and my husband Winston Sr. and I share a proud Creole heritage. LPB has helped tell our story, the spirit of a culture, Cane River Creoles, but not just our story. LPB tells the story of your ancestors too. The stories that are so uniquely Louisiana about writers like Kate Chopin, the history of the Baton Rouge bus boycott, what life was like on an Atchafalaya houseboat, music icons like Fats Domino, the secrets of the Bayou Healers in Good for What Ails You, and of course, Louisiana veterans like my Uncle John, who served in the Navy during World War II. You can help tell the next great Louisiana story. Be a part of this great legacy by becoming a member of LPB today.
Thank you to Barbara DeQueer. I think she taught your daughter chemistry or something?
Chemistry, she sure did.
Well, you all got great chemistry going on. That's very, very nice. Let me tell you about the chemistry that we have with you here on LPB. You pledge, we say thank you with some great thank you gifts. Let me tell you about them. For $20 a month as a sustaining member, adds up to $240, you're going to receive the Spirit of a Culture combo. And that this includes this ceramic platter, Clementine Hunter's Playing Cards. You also get the Forgotten People paperback book by Gary B. Mills and the program DVD. For a pledge of $180 or just $15 a month as a sustainer, you'll receive the ceramic platter, Clementine Hunter's Playing Cards. Love that. Or for $10 a month, you can receive the Forgotten People paperback book by Gary B. Mills. Or just $6. $6 a month, think about it. You could have this great program on DVD. And I'll tell you what, we got some special credit card offers here, or this one. This is the most special. The first caller to pledge $500 or more on a credit card is going to receive this very exclusive Clementine Hunter Gooster Hauling Flowers. It's a ceramic platter. It's no longer in production, and it's available only on a limited basis. And of course, when you pledge, you also get these other wonderful gifts automatically. You get LPB's monthly program guide, Visions magazine. You get Louisiana Life magazine, and our popular member benefit, LPB Passport. And it's a good time to make that call, make that pledge, because we got a little something special going on, right, Bill?
Tonight's corporate challenge, the Natchitoches Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, is proud to support the programming on LPB and is challenging all viewers to donate tonight, and they will match dollar for dollar the first $1,500 called in during this program only.
I got something else here too from Arlene Gould. I believe you know Arlene, and she's been a big help to you and your family, and she has a message for all of us.
The corporate challenge tonight, Natchitoches Convention and Visitors Bureau is proud to support the programming on LPB, and we're challenging viewers to donate tonight. We will match dollar for dollar the first $1,500 called in during this break only. This will make your donation worth twice as much to LPB. Together we can keep LPB strong in Louisiana. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Arlene, a good friend of yours. I imagine been a big help to you. You know, these stories are all people stories, and we've seen a slice of it here in your videos tonight. What else do you want people to know about the people of this region?
What's neat, Chuck, is that these are cultures that are so old and established here in Louisiana, unique to Louisiana, and they're still intact. This Creole culture in Cane River is still intact. There are festivals and all kinds of wonderful events that you and I and all of us can travel up there and experience. Still intact, and to think of that continuity that is still in place is really incredible.
Yeah, I think most people know about the Natchitoches Festival of Lights at Christmas, but if you're only going to Christmas, you're missing out on a lot. Folks, if you're missing out on LPB, you are missing out on a whole lot more. It's really important that you become a member of LPB and help to support us. And we have a corporate challenge from the Natchitoches Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. They are proud to support the programming on LPB, and it's challenging all viewers to donate tonight, and they're going to match dollar for dollar the first $1,500 called in during this program only. In effect, this will make your donation worth twice as much to LPB. Together, we can keep strong in Louisiana. There's a culture here that has created some incredible art. It's known nationally and internationally. We have a thank you gift here that goes to the person making the first $500 special credit card pledge. It's this exclusive Clementine Hunter Gooster Hauling Flowers. It's a ceramic platter. It's no longer in production. It's available on a limited basis, and of course, available here through LPB. Let's go back to the program now, and Bill, we want to see how you wrap this up, because this is fascinating.
Of course, many of our people didn't like that. You know, we existed and we lived for years on our own, amongst ourselves. It's sort of like saying, we always had our culture. Our Creole culture was not taken away from us. No one could tell us, stop behaving in a certain manner, or stop having a certain religion or certain practices which are identifiable as our culture. We always had that.
What was taken away by the so-called Jim Crow laws was nearly everything else.
Essentially, this Jim Crow period started with a landmark case that began in New Orleans. It involved a Creole of color named Homer Plessy.
In 1892, Plessy boarded a train in New Orleans bound for Covington, Louisiana. Upon sitting in a first-class white-only car, he was asked to leave. Plessy refused and was arrested.
fact, in Louisiana through the 1960s, easily, we had a Jim Crow setup where if you went to the doctor's office, there was a black waiting room and a white waiting room. And so here we find the Creoles caught up in this, and they are forced to pass. In their hearts, they're French. In their hearts, they need the third door that says Creole, and they'll be willing to walk in that door and feel proud about their choice. Having to decide white, black is unfair for any Creole at that time.
To complicate things even more, other Creoles were caught, like Mama Leah's dolls. Some looked more white than they did black. It seemed the very Creole spirit of our heritage and culture began slipping away.
But what they do actually to protect this heritage that they feel is slowly ebbing away, perhaps, because whites have taken the label Creole from them. They continue their insistence on their French heritage, and they build it in their communities.
Children were raised with the understanding that we are different. Nous sommes créoles, we are Creole. For many years, we continued parler nos langues créole français, to speak the Creole French language. We knew who we were. We always had. The problem was we were living in a world that didn't recognize us.
But to protect their own understanding, their self-identity, they kept their communities tight.
We made sure our children met children from other Creole communities, knowing full well that if they moved away and married outside, the tradition, the culture, would follow them right out the door.
I think it's unfortunate that as Creoles over time have insisted, hey, we're different, a lot of people took that as saying, hey, we're better. And honestly, I don't believe the Creoles were saying that at any point in time. By saying, hey, we're different, they were also, that was another way of trying to say, we want to save what we've got. We don't want to pass for white, we're different. We don't want to pass for black because we're different. But over the course of this racial tension during Jim Crow, when you have in one classroom blacks whose great-grandmothers had been slaves and Creoles who did not know slavery in their family, there are, at the most basic level, cultural clashes.
Beginning at the time of World War I and through World War II, great migrations of people of color from the South began. While history focuses on the broader African American experience of this shift from the rural South to industrialized America, my Cane River Creole people also took part in the Great Migration.
It's when the plantation system begins to collapse. They go north to Chicago, they go west to LA, go as far away as New York.
And everywhere they landed, there bloomed a Creole community.
Cane River Creoles, wherever they live, they tend to band together. They tend to stay in touch with some aunt, uncle, cousin, or grandparent, if they're lucky, on Cane River.
As our children left home for cities like Chicago and Los Angeles, their culture remained as important, perhaps even more so than back home, extending the bounds of Cane River. But there too, my Creole people were put in the familiar yet unimaginable position of suppressing their heritage and identity, even their patriotism, and the personal tolls were high.
My father joined and volunteered for the United States Navy in 1928, when it was restricted to members of the Caucasian race only. And he lived a lifetime regretting that he did that. But the only way that he could get in was he was like Homer Plessy. He had all of the characteristics to be a first-class American citizen, but because of his ethnicity, he was denied the right, and he lied in order to join the Navy and have the travel experiences that he had. But he lived to regret it every day of his life. And he told us, he said, never deny your ethnicity and culture. Wherever you are, don't do that. And it haunted him every day he lived. And part of my involvement, I would have to say, would be an omen to a dead man. You know, people should have the right to determine their personal and self-identity. The government should not have that right.
Many times passing for white was an economic necessity.
In terms of feeding their families, they lived in an industrialized city and needed work. One sure way of getting it was to allow the lightness of your skin to mark you as a white person and to go with that. I find that tragic because when they've cut ties with family, they've cut ties with their heritage, with the traditions they were raised with, and they become almost like homeless people in that they're cultureless. They've cast aside all of that wealth of culture just for a little promise and comfort of okay living today.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen.
Louis Metoya is a proud California Cane River Creole, an 8th generation descendant of Nicholas Augustin Metoya.
When we learn so much about who we are as a person, and when we learn so much about how socially, how to interact with people and stuff, we learn through our culture. The family came to California in about 1963. And that was considered the second wave or migration of our people moving from Louisiana to the West Coast area.
What was really on my mind about the move was for the children to get a good education. That's what I really, really wanted.
When we came out to California, of course, Dad was the first one to come out for the first 2 or 3 months, and he stayed with my aunt and my uncle at that time. So it was like coming from Louisiana, but yet when we got here, it was just like still being in a part of Louisiana, just a great big city compared to what Natchitoches Cane River was. But as far as family concerned, we had so much family already out here. It was just like being at home.
In more ways than one, it was the height of the civil rights movement, and Louis Metoya remembered familiar descent.
Coach Louis? When I was in school, and they would ask you even to fill out a form, you know, and I said, well, I'm Creole, and they said, well, no, you're African American. And of course, at the time, I just went along with it because that was the thing we did in school. But I didn't feel good doing that. There was something that bothered me about doing that, even at the age of, 15, 16 years old, in high school and so forth and so on. It just didn't feel like that's who I was.
Just as on Cane River, strength of community and culture kept the Creole spirit alive. But as the Metoya family and the greater California Creole community began to age and grow, Louis Metoya felt a need to reconnect.
We had a lot of our people out here on the West Coast, but yet, like us, we were starving in terms of knowing what was going on in Louisiana, because we loved that Louisiana tie, you know.
Louis and his family began publishing Bayou Talk, a California Creole newsletter, in 1989.
Never in our wildest dreams did we know that it would take off the way it did. By the time we got the second edition out of Bayou Talk, we knew we were going to be called upon as being the answer to so many people questions and misconceptions and understandings on who are Creoles, who are these people. So it was just an awesome experience, but also forced me, and of course the rest of the members of the family, to look into our own family background, look into our own history, to learn some of those answers to some of those questions that were coming about.
There were more and more questions coming about. Rumors began to spread through Cane River in the early 1990s that the Department of the Interior and the National Park Service were conducting a study about preserving Creole culture. Terrell Delphin.
So what we decided was to have a renaissance, a cultural renaissance where we would document our history, we would tell our own stories, we would give credit to the descendants and the ancestors of the accomplishments of generations of the past.
Like he tells you, it ain't about race with him. It's about culture, about being Creole.
We believe that it's our responsibility to take care of our people. This culture is too rich for other folk not to know about it. You see, it's just too important, too significant. All we want to do is be able to identify ourselves as Creole.
Creole Renaissance mothers like Tracy Colson Fontenot are seeing to it the next generation can.
My 9-year-old's teacher specifically asked me to come and talk to the class because she didn't know. She said, I'm not from Louisiana, and I know that Creole is a big part of Louisiana, a big part of the culture here, and I want you to come and teach me and teach the kids about it. And it was a great thing. My child felt like he was cool, and it was, he felt a million times more confident in saying I'm Creole than what he did the day before.
The Creoles are representative of a movement that's starting to happen in America. And that movement is against the idea of race as a deciding feature of a population.
This thing is not unique to the Cane River Creoles. It's not unique to the Louisiana Creoles.
We have a fancy $10 word for it, multiculturalism.
From my perspective as a multiracial person, we may individually identify with any aspect of our ancestry as we so choose. I blatantly refuse to accept America's rule of hypodescent, wherein just because of, let's say, our one ancestry, we must identify 100% with that ancestry and turn our backs on all of the other ancestries. My people have never done that. The Cane River Creoles have never done that. We've always walked that in-between road. That's who we are.
We are peaceable people, lovable people, people who respect other people. And it's just time for us to have the same consideration and acceptance.
I am who I am because of the people who have come before me. And I am so proud to be able to stand up and say that.
People from other cultures appreciate it when you can appreciate their culture. Well, it's time for others to appreciate ours.
Accept me for who I am. I accept you for who you say you are. Then please give me the same courtesy and accept me for who I say I am.
I'm proud of who I am, I'll tell you that now. I'm Leah LaCour. I'm a Creole woman.
There's a prayer that we say all the time, and it's the prayer of St. Francis. And that prayer advises us not to worry about being understood, but to understand. But I have to have a turf battle sometimes with St. Francis in her prayer, because I feel that it's important that not only do we understand, but to ask people that they understand who we are.
I am a Creole. I'm a proud Creole from Cane River.
ne fais pas tant de bruit, Madeleine. Chut, la maison, c'est pas pour nous, Madeleine, la maison n'est pas pour nous.
This film is funded in part by a grant from the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities, a state affiliate of the National Endowment for the Humanities. Funding is also provided by a grant from the Cane River National Heritage Area and Commission, and by a grant from the Louisiana State Arts Council through the Louisiana Division of the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts.
Welcome back. I'm Chuck Perrin, volunteering once again to support LPB. And that's what we are asking you to do right now, to support LPB with your generous donation. This is our last break during the Spirit of a Culture, Cane River Creoles, and it's your final opportunity to show us you value what you are watching right here, everything on LPB. It brings into your home each and every day, from documentaries such as this to Antiques Roadshow to PBS Nature. It's on the air thanks to contributions from you, our viewers. You put this programming on the air, you really do. So we invite you to pledge or renew your support to LPB right now and consider becoming a sustaining member with easy monthly contributions in an amount of your choosing, and that way we'll know we can depend on your consistent support throughout the year. Just call or text GIVE to 888-769-5000. Become a member online at lpb.org or scan that funny looking QR code that's on your television screen. It's just that easy. We have incredible thank you gifts to thank you with, and I'm going to tell you about them right now because they're really, really special, especially if you're interested in the Cane River region. For $240, a pledge of just $20 a month, you will receive this combo, Spirit of a Culture combo. It includes the Clementine Hunter rectangular ceramic platter playing cards right here beside me, the Forgotten People paperback book by Gary P. Mills, and the program DVD. For a pledge of $15 a month, you'll receive the ceramic platter, Clementine Hunter playing cards, $15 a month, can't beat that. Or for $10 a month, you'll receive the Forgotten People paperback book by Gary B. Mills. Or for just $6 a month, a DVD of the program that you have been watching. We have a special credit card offer for you too. Bill, tell us about that.
The first caller to pledge $500 or more on a credit card will receive an exclusive Clementine Hunter Gooster Hauling Flowers ceramic platter. Just to let you know, this is no longer in production and is available on a limited basis, so a nice gift right there. In addition to these wonderful gifts, you'll receive Visions, LPB's monthly program guide, Louisiana Life magazine, which is amazing, and our popular member benefit LPB Passport.
And believe me, Goosters are rare. You'll really want one of those. You never saw
right.
one running around in the Cane River area, did you?
No, I didn't, but the next time I'm up there, I will.
Well, you know, you did spend a lot of time up there. I'm wondering, when you start a project like this, from the conception, I think I might want to tell that story, to getting it all researched, written, scripted, produced, what's that process like?
You're talking like 6 months to a year, Chuck. It's a lot of time, and very seldom do we put one together just in one segment. It's usually there's some time, it's kind of broken up a little bit, but if you had to do it all at once, probably a year, 6 months or a year for sure.
And Clementine Hunter was from that region. She's known nationally and internationally. We have some wonderful artwork here, some of her ceramic plates that are yours as thank you gifts. You know, she's kind of the spirit of the area there too. Probably brought great fame. There were other artists and the people and the culture and the history that included that little town in the section there that was the capital of Texas for a while. You got another story about that. Yeah, absolutely terrific. So we are all in this together, folks. Louisiana history, Louisiana Public Broadcasting. This is a family. We're the friends of LPB because it takes friends to take care of each other, and that's what we do with this network. And you help to take care of seeing that quality programming continues to be brought to you, not only locally produced, but also on the national and international level, that we can bring to you that you absolutely love so much that you're not getting anywhere else. So you do that by going to 888-769-5000 or go online to lpb.org. Bill, thank you for being with us here on LPB as we start to wrap things up and telling your story. LPB probably means something special to you.
It certainly does. I've said it before, I'll say it again. As a filmmaker, we need outlets like LPB to tell our stories. And this offers an independent filmmaker like myself and my wife an outlet to show our work. There are lots of places, more and more these days on the internet, but there's nothing like homegrown, home-based Louisiana public broadcasting to get the proper, if you will, audience for this type of programming that is attuned to this special history and this type of programming.
Special programming for the special people, the people of Louisiana, told in such a special quality way. Let's talk about that member challenge right here. We're going to go to that special message from Arlene Gould. She has something to tell us.
The corporate challenge tonight, Natchitoches Convention and Visitors Bureau is proud to support the programming on LPB, and we're challenging viewers to donate tonight. We will match dollar for dollar the first $1,500 called in during this break only. This will make your donation worth twice as much to LPB. Together we can keep LPB strong in Louisiana. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene. We really, really appreciate you. You know, we have a lot of ways of showing our appreciation here on LPB. We appreciate the opportunity to bring you more quality programming, but we always have those wonderful thank you gifts. And since you're watching and enjoying this program, I think you might enjoy these.
For $240 or $20 a month, you'll receive the Spirit of a Culture combo, which includes a Clementine Hunter playing cards, rectangular ceramic platter, the Forgotten People paperback book by Gary B. Mills, and the program DVD. For $180 or $15 a month, you'll receive a Clementine Hunter playing cards rectangular ceramic platter. At $120 or $10 a month, you'll receive the Forgotten People paperback book by Gary B. Mills. And for $72 or $6 a month, you'll receive the program DVD. And then the first caller to pledge $500 or more on a credit card will receive an exclusive Clementine Hunter Gooster Hauling Flowers. That's a ceramic platter, which is no longer in production and available just on a limited basis. In addition to these wonderful gifts, you'll receive Visions, LPB's monthly program guide, Louisiana Life magazine, and our popular member benefit LPB Passport.
Yes, and you know LPB's mission is to bring you quality Clementine Hunter platters as well as educational material and entertaining programs, and it's all done through viewer support like you that you provide to us by going to your phone, 888-769-5000. You know, LPB is also known for a new thing, raffles. We got some fantastic raffles. Here's another one.
The future of driving is here. LPB's Win the Wheels raffle accelerates into the 21st century with a Tesla Model 3.
Hi, my name's Seth Irby, and I'm a proud board member for the Friends of LPB. Join me in supporting LPB and enter the raffle today for your chance to win a Tesla Model 3.
Enter for your chance to win this hot next-generation electric car. Every dollar raised goes to support public broadcasting and provide educational resources in your local community. Purchase a ticket for $50. Buy two and you'll get the third ticket free. You'll also receive LPB's most popular benefit, LPB Passport, giving you unlimited access to the best of PBS and LPB on demand. Go online to lpb.org/raffle or call 888-769-5000. You are helping sustain LPB for the future, which makes you a winner and possibly the owner of a brand new Tesla.
Well, we want to thank Bill and your wife Flo for bringing us such quality programming as we've had tonight. Really, really appreciate that. And folks, we really, really appreciate you because you are Louisiana Public Broadcasting. And to keep this going, we need your help. 888-769-5000 because you are LPB.